First at 4, it's the stuff of traffic nightmares. All lanes completely shut down. 75 southbound at Windy Hill. Delays are extensive, but I've got 4 separate alternates for you.
Here less than 24 hours after a mother and her baby were shot at this home in Lithonia. I'm Joe Ripley with an update on their condition and the search for the shooter.
Plus, the return of rain and colder temperatures for our midweek. I'll time it out.
The Atlanta Fire Department is now asking if code enforcement changes could help fight future fires after a massive fire the chief calls a complete anomaly burned through these apartments.
11 Alive News at 4 p.m. starts now.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome to 11 Alive News at 4 o'clock. I'm Faith Jesse.
And I'm Jonathan Martin. First here at 4 o'clock, trouble on the roadway. We're going to get right to Atlanta traffic expert Crash Clark. Crash, I know you're keeping a close eye on a red alert right here on I-75 that has it pretty much shut down.
Yeah, Jonathan, look at this Sky Tracker right above the scene here. This one tractor trailer overturned, another one jackknife just left the scene, but the damage is done. This is along I-75 southbound right at Windy Hill. Let's get you to the maps because I want to get you around this thing. I've got 4 separate alternates. Now, hang on. Here's where we sit. 75 southbound right at Windy Hill Road. As you can imagine, the delays are extensive. Now, Highway 41 Cobb Parkway, that's going to be your initial alternate, but trust me, you want nothing to do with it. It's already bumper to bumper. Do yourself a favor. Try Powers Ferry. That's going to get you around it as well. And if you're really desperate, you could try South Cobb Drive or even Atlanta Road. Now, remember, this is going to have extensive backups, not just on 75 South, but 75 North and all the adjacent surface streets as folks try to scramble for an alternate. GDOT telling us this may not be cleared till 8 o'clock tonight. We're going to be here with you watching this, but this is going to be quite the nightmare. Jonathan?
It really is. Crash, thank you so much. Right now we have some new details. Less than 24 hours after someone shot a mother and her baby in DeKalb County, police are continuing to search for the person who pulled the trigger. This happened around 9:30 last night on Wild Ginger Road in Lithonia. Police believe an argument might have led up to the shooting, and the mother and baby were accidentally caught in the crossfire. 11 Alive's Joe Ripley updates us on the victim's conditions and the search for the shooter.
New surveillance video obtained by 11 Alive shows the response to this DeKalb County neighborhood on Wild Ginger Run. Neighbors called police and first responders around 9:30 Monday night when they heard several shots across the street.
Looks like it was probably a disagreement between the young men that live in this house and another group of young men.
DeKalb Police Sergeant Lynn Schuler says a mother and her 7-month-old baby who was sleeping were both inside the home when shots were fired and were both grazed by the gunfire. Police say they do not think the mother and child were the intended targets. A family member tells me both victims are still in the hospital. She said the mother was shot in the shoulder and the baby was shot in the head and shoulder. Both are expected to be okay. You can still see the impact from the 5 shots police believe were fired into the home.
Nonsense. Lack of morality.
Neighbors say there have been other police calls here, but as of now, police have not shared that info with us. Neighbors call this an otherwise peaceful neighborhood. Tonight, DeKalb County Police say they are still on the hunt for the shooting suspect. As we learn more, we will get that info to you on air and on 11alive.com. In DeKalb County, Joe Ripley, 11 Alive News.
Also here at 4 o'clock, we have some new developments in the 2020 Georgia election interference case. The Fulton County District Attorney's Office is now requesting emergency protections. This is all coming after video interviews with defendants who took plea deals were leaked to the media. We will have much more on these new developments, including the videos here in question, coming up later tonight.
All right, time to bring in the final piece of our team here at 4 o'clock. Somebody that you might want to hear from. Meteorologist Melissa Nord is here. So, Melissa, this weather has been a little all over the place, but we did see some rain, and I'm hearing we might be getting some more soon.
It's coming back, and it arrives tomorrow, already by tomorrow morning for some of us. So we've had a little break for a couple days. Now the rain moving back in. Let me show you where that rain is right now on the map. Still a couple hundred miles away from us, but you can see there's been shower activity over the last day along the Gulf Coast. Little area of low pressure is going to push that moisture northward into our area. So by tomorrow morning, we start to see some rain moving in. So let's time this out for you. You can see Those arrows on the map, that's a breeze from the east-northeast, which will keep us cooler throughout the day tomorrow. But by 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, some scattered showers, areas of drizzle starting to move in. And it's not a washout all day tomorrow for a lot of us, but it's just this on and off nuisance, lighter rain that will be on the map, and we'll be tracking that on radar for you tomorrow. This evening, falling back from the 60s into the 50s, we'll talk about that out-the-door forecast for tomorrow morning and who has the highest chance of seeing rain for tomorrow coming up in just a bit.
All right, we're getting those umbrellas ready. Melissa, thank you so much. Well, hundreds remain without a home tonight after a massive fire sparked on Friday night.
And today, the Atlanta Fire Department is still there on the scene 4 days later. And 11 Alive's Molly Oak is also back live outside the Reserve at La Vista Walk Apartments in Atlanta. So, Molly, what's the latest here?
Well, as we continue to talk with the fire department and ask them more questions about what happens next, I just got off the phone with fire. It says it has tentatively cleared the scene tonight, which means it can start moving forward with its investigation. But I want you to take a look at this video. When we talked with the chief last night, he called this fire a complete anomaly, and I'm going to explain why. He says this because it started from the roof down. The systems in place likely didn't detect the fire until later. He says code enforcement is looking into what can be done to modify the code and see if changes can be made for future construction. Now, Atlanta's fire chief says more than 80 firefighters were on scene when the initial call came out on Friday. He says right now the fire marshal and other agencies are carrying out a three-pronged investigation. And he says even though that response was in 6 minutes, he says it was an immediate evacuation mode by the time they got here, and then says after that it was all just on the defense.
Yeah, Molly, still so many questions about what happened. Do we have any idea on when we might get that initial investigation report that perhaps will tell us what happened, or at least more of what happened?
So, Jonathan, there's three things we're really looking for right now. The 911 calls, the inspection report for this apartment complex, and then also that incident report. The one good thing about firefighters tentatively leaving the scene now is once they leave the scene, the fire department has 24 hours to input that incident report, which means we could be getting that report either tonight or sometime tomorrow. The fire department tells me that once that incident report is in, they'll give it to us, and that should shed a lot more light about what initially happened here late Friday night.
Yeah, we know you'll be staying on the story. Molly, thanks so much. And as she just mentioned, those residents are still struggling to get back on their feet. Coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, we'll share how you can give a helping hand.
And right now, we are trying to learn more about an overnight fire that damaged a historic Civil War-era home in Stone Mountain Park. It happened at what was formerly called the Dickey House. The building was first built in the 1840s. It was originally located on a plantation near Albany before being dismantled and rebuilt in Stone Mountain in 1961. Officials say the fire began on the upper floors of the building, but it's still unclear as to what started it. All right, now we want to talk about this. The holidays are coming up, and in the season of giving, one group held a special event to support Atlanta's youth. Take a look here. The Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation hosted a celebrity toy drive at Topgolf. That was in Atlanta last night. The event featured big names in sports and entertainment and supports the foundation's scholarship fund. They also collected hundreds of toys for underserved kids in communities here in Metro Atlanta. I actually caught up with actress and media personality, former 11 Alive family, Rashawn Ali, who says when it comes to supporting youth, it's all about taking action.
You have to ask yourself, what can I do to make a difference? And every little bit goes a long way, and I think that's very important. So when you see something, do something.
And you can find out more about this, the organization, more information on the organization. You can even donate. You can head to theharveyfoundation.org. Another person who was there last night is our very own Jonathan Martin.
Well, I was there. Thanks to you. You invited me, and it was really great to see so many big-name folks in Atlanta giving back. The Harveys have been, they're not from Atlanta, but they've been around Atlanta for a long time and have done so much for our community, so it's great to see.
And a lot of people yesterday, I kept asking them, this is about the youth. What should we be doing for the youth? And they said it's about action.
Yeah.
Little small things you can do every single day.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up here, thousands gathering today to march for Israel. We are live in Washington with more on this rally and what organizers hope will come from this massive show of support.
And it's going to be a major red alert for Cobb County. 75 southbound at Windy Hill completely shut down. We've got alternates for you, but this is a far-reaching wreck. Welcome back to 11 Alive News at 4. The traffic alert will continue for most of the evening with 75 southbound at Windy Hill completely shut down. Folks are scrambling for alternates as far over as South Cobb Drive, Atlanta Road, Cobb Parkway, and even Powers Ferry. Folks, this one's going to be here for a while. 75 southbound. As we're looking right now, though, look at this. They are dragging this tractor trailer off to the side of the road. This is amazing what they're doing. We may be making some progress here, folks. We're going to keep up on this one. Faith?
All right, Crash, thank you so much. Well, all new at 4, March in our nation's capital is wrapping up. Thousands of people from across the country gathered today to show their support for Israel, which is now in its second month of the war against Hamas. Joining us now live from the National Mall is Alice Barr. Alice, I know it's loud out there. I'm going to do my best to keep this simple for you. We are now more than a month into the Israel-Hamas war after Hamas terrorists killed 1,400 people, took more than 200 hostages. What is the feeling out there today?
Yeah, Faith, you're right. It is very loud. We'll do our best here. Really, it's a very strong feeling of solidarity. We've been speaking to a lot of the people in the crowd. There are tens of thousands of people here, and they've all said very clearly they were moved to come here, many coming from out of state, with the message that never again means now, that they are seeing a rising tide of anti-Semitism, something like a 400% increase, according to the Anti-Defamation League, from this time last year in incidents of anti-Semitism. And they very clearly wanted to come together here on the National Mall and send the message of solidarity for Israel, for the Jewish people here in America, and against anti-Semitism. Faith.
Alice, if you can hear me once again, I know it's loud out there, but I do want to ask this. Prior to today's march, we've seen demonstrations across the country in support of the people of Palestine. Were there any supporters there today? And is there any message from the speakers about the Palestinian civilians who have been caught in the crossfire in Gaza?
I spoke to people about that as well in the crowd, about maybe even potentially fears of backlash against the Jewish people here in this country as we continue to see the devastating, the dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza, that could sadly even increase anti-Semitism here in this country. The people I spoke to are worried about that, but they also are very clear that they say that there is no moral equivalence between what Israel is doing, what the Israeli military is doing, and what happened in the October 7th attack when Hamas brutally attacked innocent Israelis in that case, and that's what began this. And they're very firm that this fight needs to continue to wipe out Hamas so that Israel can be safe. Now, that is not to say that people here do not feel for the Palestinian people and just the horrific images that we have seen coming out of Gaza. Those I've spoken to have said they are praying for people on both sides, and that, of course, they want peace. They believe, in order to get to peace, that Israel needs to be safe within its borders, and they believe that means taking on Hamas hard and head on. Back to you.
Alice Barr in Washington, a lot of pain still today. Thank you so much for bringing us that.
Cloudy skies here, cloud cover building in, and we've been tracking this next chance of rain for a few days now. Still not here quite yet. We've got some showers right along the Gulf Coast, and a little area of low pressure is going to help to push that rain northward. But how much rain we see and how kind of wet of a day it is tomorrow is really going to vary widely. We think that the highest rain chances, where we're going to see the most rain on the map tomorrow, is closest to the Gulf Coast, so down in central Georgia. So rain chances on the map here from Covington to Peachtree City, 70% or higher. When you get into the northern side of the metro, those rain chances about 50%. North Georgia mountains and northwest Georgia, where the drought is most significant, that's where we think the rainfall chance will be about a 30% chance at best. So there might be a little patchy drizzle, but everything that's coming in, like we saw over the weekend, this is light. This is not heavy rain, not thunderstorm activity. In fact, with a breeze from the northeast, which will be gusty again tomorrow, we're going to be significantly cooler than where we have been today. So next few hours for us, staying mostly cloudy, dry all the way through that sunset this evening and beyond. You notice here at 10 o'clock, still dry on the map, but as we get closer to midnight and beyond, a couple of showers start to move in. We do think that rain will become a little better coverage first thing tomorrow morning. See here, we're starting off in the 50s. Rain showers most prominent south of I-20, then up to the north. But as we head into the afternoon, those temperatures with the clouds, that northeast breeze, and the rain showers on the map, we just don't have an opportunity for them to warm up. So a cloudy, cooler, breezy day with on and off rain showers there on your Wednesday. As we push this forecast track out into Thursday, once again, few showers mainly south of I-20, and all that rain shower activity will start to pull out of here, I think, for Thursday night, and we'll bring in another rain chance to round out the work week. Outside right now, mostly cloudy. We had a bit of sunshine earlier that helped to spike our temperatures up to the upper 60s. Currently 69 in Atlanta. Douglasville is 70, 67 in Lithonia, and 67 in Lawrenceville. So overnight tonight, rain showers start to move in from the south after midnight. We'll drop down to the upper 40s and low 50s, and then a breeze throughout the day tomorrow with on and off rain showers likely. So they'll be scattered in nature, not widespread, but with that cloud cover, the breeze, and the on and off rain, you're going to need a bigger coat tomorrow. Temperatures will not be having much of a climb in the afternoon. We're going to keep things in the mid 50s as opposed to near 70 where we are today. Keeping a 30% rain chance Thursday and Friday. Cold front coming in here Friday into Saturday morning will bring a few showers with it, but behind it, look at your weekend, drying things out, bringing back some sunshine by Saturday afternoon, a high of 65, 64 with a lot of sunshine on Sunday before more rain moves in early next week.
All right, Melissa, appreciate that. 418. Boy, they have made amazing progress. Look at this. This was an overturned tractor trailer, 75 southbound, right at Windy Hill. They had all lanes completely blocked. GDOT saying they wouldn't get this clear till 8 o'clock tonight. They just dragged this thing off to the side of the road, didn't even put it back up on its wheels, but still, it's shut down and traffic is bumper to bumper all the way back to 575. You've got Cobb Parkway. You've got Powers Ferry. Powers Ferry is a great alternate for 75, and so few people use it. South Cobb Drive or Atlanta Road's also going to help you, but I'm hoping to get some lanes open here on 75 real quick. Jonathan?
Yeah, let's hope so. Crash, thank you. New tonight, Georgia is paving the path for more students to get into college. Jennifer Bellamy is here with a look at some of the stories coming up at 5.
Yeah, Jonathan, we know the higher education process is already expensive, but Georgia high school seniors could have their college application fees waived this month thanks to a new announcement today from the Student Finance Commission. What you need to know about the waivers and how they can help your student. Plus, caught on camera, this video captured right outside of a Metro Atlanta police station shows a driver doing donuts there and being dealt some instant karma. We'll tell you about it. And the CDC is warning about an invasive species of tick spotted right here in Georgia. We're going to talk about whether you need to take any steps to protect your health and your family. That is all coming up new and next at 5.
All right, well, new video tonight is giving us a look at the intense moments after an emergency landing in Texas. Wow, look at that. That was a bizarre sight over the weekend, a really scary one in the suburb of Dallas. A pilot of the small plane you see right there making an emergency landing was unable to stop at the end of the runway. It then went through a fence and collided into a car driving by. The pilot says it was his first time landing at this airport. He says the aircraft's reverse thrust, which slows the plane down, wasn't working. Here is the crazy part. The driver of that car had minor injuries.
Thank goodness.
Somebody was looking out for them.
Yeah, because you think about that could have just been so much worse with an explosion or something like that.
Yeah.
And luckily it was a small plane, had a little less momentum, a little less mass with it. But yeah, you got to be thankful that it was just one car and not a busy highway and not an overpass that it could have fallen off of there.
Right, when I first saw this video, I saw the plane coming in. In fact, the guy that was filming it noticed the plane was coming in a little bit too hot and figured he was going to go through the fence. And then all of a sudden, here comes a car. 35 years of traffic reporting. I don't think I've ever reported one like that.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank goodness everyone's all right.
That's the main part.
Yeah.
Well, coming up, we're keeping a close eye on Capitol Hill as the U.S. House is expected to vote on a plan to try and avoid a government shutdown.
Plus, legendary late-night talk show host David Letterman wants you to own a big piece of TV history. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4.
Welcome back to 11 Alive News at 4 o'clock. Atlanta's own Andre 3000 is dropping his first solo album later this week, and it will stand out for what it will and won't have. Now, 3 Stacks, as he's known to many people, he's known as being one half of Outkast, alongside, of course, Big Boy. But the 48-year-old singer and rapper won't be singing or rapping. Instead, on this album, New Blue Sun, we will only hear Andre 3000 playing various flutes. He says he's been interested in wind instruments for a while now and calls the project a natural progression, and a lot of folks looking forward to that. Well, you know, first it was Taylor Swift. Now Queen Bee is getting a beat reporter. USA Today has hired a journalist to serve as the Beyonce reporter. They will work out of the Tennessean in Nashville. Stories will include Beyonce's business and entertainment empire, as well as her fan base known as the Beehive, and her influence on fashion, music, and culture. Well, you now have a chance to own a piece of television history if you have the money and the space for it. David Letterman offering you a chance to own the original marquee sign from his Late Show. Letterman hosted the late night program from the Ed Sullivan Theater on New York's famous Broadway from 1993 up until 2015. Letterman has now started a sweepstakes through the end of the year for the marquee. So all you have to do is donate $10, and the money will benefit Habitat for Humanity, an organization Letterman has supported since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. And at least the money is going to something good. You know, at least it's not just him collecting the money for himself.
I want it. I'm a huge
really?
Letterman fan. I tried out for his Stupid Human Tricks.
Really?
When I lived down in Miami, they did a roaming Stupid Human Tricks, and I was in full scuba gear, jumped off a 10-foot table into a glass of water.
See, I'm learning something about you every day.
Wait,
run it back.
Wait a second.
Yeah. Didn't quite make it to the finals and get on the show, but I tried out for it. That was, So I love Letterman.
So that's where you got your name, Crash.
Probably. It's where it started.
There you go. I love it.
All right, 75 southbound, still a nightmare ride trying to make your way out of Marietta. As a matter of fact, they're making progress. 75 south, we've got almost all of this off to the side. Will we get the lanes open? That's the big question.
And it's a good thing we don't have any rain to throw on top of that mess on 75, but by tomorrow morning, we will. I'm tracking our next chance of showers moving back into North Georgia. I'll have your forecast next on 11 Alive News at 4. First at 4, dry outside right now, but clouds increasing and rain is on the way. We'll time it out.
A federal judge sets a trial that could upend computerized voting in the state's upcoming March election.
Plus, the results of a recount in the city of South Fulton after a very close race in last week's election.
And Georgia Tech is still looking for that elusive 6th win of the season and is hoping it can come this weekend against Syracuse.
We'd like to welcome you back here to 11 Alive News at 4. I'm Jonathan Martin.
And I'm Faith Jesse. So right now, the skies aren't looking too bad outside, but we're keeping a watchful eye for some more rain heading our way.
Let's bring in meteorologist Melissa North. So, Melissa, what's the timing of this rain?
I think a lot of those showers hold off until after midnight, but by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, some of this moisture in our area in the form of showers. So for not everybody, it will be an all-day washout. We will have some breaks in that rain, but this is the rain that will be moving in. So here's the timing on the forecast track showing after midnight showers start moving in, and tomorrow morning we have scattered showers, a breeze, and much cooler temperatures on the way throughout the day tomorrow. But right now, even with the clouds, it is mild outside. 67 in Atlanta, 70 in Rome, 67 in Clayton. We'll be dry for those sports practices this evening. Temperatures falling back from the 60s into the 50s by 7 o'clock. We'll take a look at that hour-by-hour forecast track through the rest of your Wednesday coming up. We've got a red alert in Cobb County. Let's check on the roads. What's going on, Crash?
Yeah, Melissa, despite making incredible progress by pulling this jackknife tractor trailer that was actually overturned off the side of the road, are they going to open the lanes? That's the big question. 75 southbound right at Windy Hill is where we sit. They're diverting traffic off at Windy Hill. Highway 41 Cobb Parkway, your main alternate for 75, but that is bumper to bumper. Powers Ferry, that one's a little bit better depending on where you need to be. And you can also try South Cobb Drive or Atlanta Road, because even if they open lanes, it is bumper to bumper through Marietta. Faith?
All right, Crash, thank you so much. All new at 4, a federal judge will hear evidence in just a few weeks that could require voters in Georgia to use hand-marked paper ballots in its March primary election. 11 Alive's Doug Richards has more on what's behind this.
This trial in January would be the culmination of years of efforts by critics who say that Georgia's election system can't guarantee cybersecurity. They point to Georgia's computerized voting system, the Dominion ballot marking devices the state bought in 2019 and has used in elections ever since. Cybersecurity experts say they are vulnerable to hacking. They cite a breach of a South Georgia election office in 2021, images of which were captured on security cameras. They also cite an election in Pennsylvania earlier this month. in which Dominion machines went haywire and printed QR codes that contradicted the choices printed in typeface on the paper ballots. Judge Amy Totenberg writes in the trial order that the 2021 Coffee County election equipment breach presents a substantial risk that votes will not be counted as cast.
I think the court is really going to have no choice but to order the decertification or discontinued use of the ballot marking devices as the primary method of recording votes.
Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is the defendant. His office has repeatedly defended the security of the state's election system and points out that no issues have arisen in Georgia in the 2020 and 2022 elections that used those voting machines. The question is whether the judge following a bench trial would side with the state or whether she would order Georgia's election systems changed just weeks before the scheduled March primary next year. At the federal courthouse, Doug Richards, 11 Alive News.
Hyundai is now moving forward on its planned $7.5 billion facility just outside of Savannah. And now those who will be working at the plant will be getting a little boost in wages. Today, the South Korean automaker announced it's joining Honda and Toyota in raising factory worker wages by a boost of 25% by the year 2028. This move comes after the United Auto Workers Union reached a new contract, the agreement with Detroit's automakers. Now, plans for the Georgia to start the production are happening sometime next year. Toyota is also expanding its Georgia presence and creating hundreds of new jobs. Governor Brian Kemp announcing Toyota is expanding its campus in Pendergrass with a new $69 million facility. The expansion will create more than 250 new jobs, and the new facility will produce direct current converters, which converts high voltage to low voltage to supply power to auxiliary equipment. The company broke ground on this just today. Operations are expected to start in 2025.
All right, let's take you outside. A live look at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Georgia Tech plays there Saturday night after a rough road loss to Clemson over the weekend. But as Tech puts that loss in the rearview mirror, there is still a lot to look forward to in front of them.
That's right, because Faith, the Jackets have another chance to get their 6th win of the season, which would make them eligible for a bowl game. Let's bring in Reggie Chapman. He has more on the big Saturday ahead for Tech.
Yeah, it is a big one for this team, a chance to make some history. For those keeping track at home, the last time the Jackets went to a bowl game, 2018. They've got a good shot to end that drought on Saturday night against Syracuse under the lights at Bobby Dodd Stadium. Now, it will be the Jackets' second try of getting that 6th win this season. Just 3 days ago, a rejuvenated Clemson team absolutely steamrolled them out on the road. But now Tech is back at home against a Syracuse team with only one conference win. And something new this week, head coach Brent Key says he brought up the bowl world word with his team.
So we brought it up. Yeah, we talked about it. All right, this is a big deal for these kids, really big deal. All right, as an alumni here, it's a big deal for me. All right, it's a big deal for these guys that are coming back here. All right, it's a big deal for Georgia Tech. It's a big deal for the Athletic Association. It's a big deal for the entire Georgia Tech community. So we talked about it. Heck yeah, we talked about it.
Now, Coach Key says he wants another fired-up crowd like 3 weeks ago in their upset win over North Carolina. He says it absolutely makes a difference. And, guys, I'll tell you right now, it's probably important to get it done this weekend because next weekend at home they've got a team called Georgia, who, if you've not heard, is very, very good at football.
Yeah, but they should win, right, Melissa?
But Syracuse is just 1-5 in the conference.
That's what I'm saying.
That's like really, really bad.
This is the weekend to get it done.
We got home field advantage. Weather looks good.
Yep.
I feel good.
I'm feeling good about it, too.
Okay. We believe it.
It's in.
We'll see.
Check.
Yeah, check.
When Melissa's going to come in
Put your
here
money down.
all
Just
Georgia Tech'd out.
Got to be really loud,
Tech
though.
money line.
Fans have to be really loud.
Thanks, guys.
All right, coming up here, the battle against Alzheimer's is getting a welcome financial boost. Coming up, what's being done to fight this debilitating disease here in Georgia.
Also, a charter bus carrying students is involved in a deadly crash. What we're learning here at 4 about the moments leading up to the terrible tragedy. You're watching 11 Alive News at 4.
Right now, the Alzheimer's Association is celebrating a pretty big milestone. In 2023 alone, the leader in Alzheimer's and dementia research invested over $100 million into research initiatives.
And this is the largest amount in any one year that we've ever invested in research. And as I said, as the largest nonprofit funder of Alzheimer's and dementia research, that's huge.
Well, in an effort to achieve a world without the progressive disease, the Alzheimer's Association will use funds to advance research across the spectrum of dementia science, from finding better detection measures of the disease to more effective treatment. 19 research projects are already taking place right now in Georgia.
We're particularly proud of the Georgia researchers that we're funding here locally. Those researchers are at academic institutions across the state, the projects do range.
Yeah, right now in Georgia, the Georgia Department of Public Health says over 130,000 people of all ages are estimated to have Alzheimer's disease or related dementia.
The federal government may have found a way to avoid a shutdown at the end of this week. Our Ron Jones is here with more on that and the other day's headlines.
Yeah, that's right, Jonathan. So all sides have come together for some sort of agreement before the end of Friday. And that possible plan may be coming from the new House Speaker, Mike Johnson. The plan would extend funding to some government agencies through mid-January and others through early February. So whatever is agreed upon, it will still need to be passed by the Senate, signed into law by President Joe Biden to avoid this shutdown. The vote was expected to start just a few minutes ago. We're monitoring it, and we'll keep you updated as it continues to unfold. At least 3 people are dead and more than a dozen injured after a semi-truck slammed into the back of a charter bus carrying high school students in Ohio. This happened along Interstate 70, about 25 miles from downtown Columbus. The students are from a school district 15 miles from Canton and were on their way to an event in Columbus when that crash took place. Ohio State Highway Patrol says 18 people were transported to 7 different area hospitals, and the state's governor is shocked by what he has learned so far.
This is our worst nightmare when we have a bus full of children involved in a crash, and certainly is the worst nightmare that families can endure or a school can endure.
Absolutely. So the names and ages of the victims have not been released. Well, the suspect in a mass shooting at a Colorado supermarket has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Attorneys for Ahmad Alissa entered a plea on his behalf. He faces 115 separate charges in that attack that ended with 10 people dead. The first 8 victims died within 69 seconds, and all but one were shot multiple times. Everyone who was shot was killed. Alissa's trial is scheduled to start next August. He also has to undergo a mental evaluation to determine whether he was insane on the day of the deadly shootings.
All right, when we come back, we are live in South Fulton with the latest on a recount from last week's election. All new at 4, a look at whose names will be on the ballot in a runoff race.
Plus, dry outside right now, clouds are building in, and that is ahead of our next chance of rain. We'll time it out for your Wednesday and through the weekend. Coming up next, when 11 Alive News at 4 continues.
Hey, welcome back to 11 Alive News at 4. In just the last hour, Fulton County election officials announced who will be on the ballot in a South Fulton runoff.
Now, incumbent Corey Reeves will now face Keosha Bell for the District 5 City Council seat, a matchup that was decided by just 7 votes. 11 Alive's Grace King is live to explain why it took multiple counts for those results to finally be certified. Grace.
Election results are never final until the board certifies them. That way they can double check for accuracy, add in provisional ballots, and even conduct a recount. Now that's what we saw in every Fulton County race this time through. But the one it's making a difference in is that South Fulton City Council District 5. We knew incumbent Corey Reeves would be advancing, but on election night, it appeared Calvin Bennett would be challenging him in the runoff with a 1-vote lead over Keosha Bell. But today, after multiple tallies, Bell pulled ahead. Fulton County Board of Elections and Registration Chairwoman Patrice Perkins Hooker says that's why it's important to wait until all votes are tallied.
Provisional ballots always come in at the end, and there were like 30,000 of them. So they could change a race or not, or a referendum, just depending on the outcome of that input. And then in addition to that, we were double checking to make certain all of the ballots of every category were included in the final count.
On Monday, the board ran into some problems when tallying the advanced voting numbers. That's why they spent most of today double checking the totals. But at this point, the only outstanding results are from Mountain Park. They hope to have those votes confirmed in the next half hour or so. In Fairburn, Grace King, 11 Alive News.
All right, Grace, thank you. October's inflation report is now out, but could it be a sign that inflation, at least inflation fever, is breaking? Our Jennifer Bellamy here with a look at what's new and next at 5.
Everyone is hoping to hear and see, but one thing is clear: prices are falling or rising a lot slower for everything from gas to new cars. So what does this mean for the future of inflation and what it looks like? And is the Fed finally done raising rates? We're diving into those questions in the next hour.
Rebuilding from ashes to this. The Gaddy's family staple Christmas light display will be back just in time for the holidays. How the Fayetteville community helped make this happen 3 months after a devastating fire, only on 11 Alive at 5.
Plus, all the holiday safety hacks you need to know from the moment your turkey enters the oven to when it's time to hang your Christmas lights. We have got those stories and much more when we see you coming up next at 5.
We will see you then, Jennifer. Thank you. Unionized baristas at Starbucks are planning their biggest strike this week. They are accusing the company of refusing to negotiate fairly at the stores that have voted to organize. Here in Atlanta, the issue of unionizing has led to at least 2 strikes since last summer at certain Starbucks locations. The union has successfully won elections at more than 350 stores, but none have yet to reach a collective bargaining agreement with the company. The one-day walkout is planned for Thursday. Okay, so here's a question for all of you parents. Would you spend $230 on scented water for your baby? I know that may sound far-fetched, but Dior, well, they're banking on customers saying, yeah, we'll do it. The luxury brand has a new skincare line for babies. Its scented water is the priciest item, followed by a $115 moisturizer. The line also includes cleansers. Those will cost you $95. Dior says the new products are a revamp of its 1970s perfume line for infants. And yes, we're talking about babies here, guys.
I saw Faith's reaction.
Look,
And
I'm not a
literally-
mom yet, so I'm going to let you weigh in on this.
That was my reaction. I'm like, number one, it's ridiculous. The cost of daycare is outrageous, so no, I can't afford that. But number two, let's try to make things a little bit more inclusive for everybody to
Right.
get in on whatever your brand is. I don't think it's a good marketing strategy.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And what's in the stuff to make it so expensive? I don't know. Just the name?
Is it for the bath?
Does it make the baby sleep through the night?
Yeah, that's the question.
And not ask for milk?
That's true.
Those are the important things, Dior.
I don't think
Take
it does.
note from a mom.
All right. Let's dive into your weather right now. And you know, we have a chance of rain coming, but meanwhile today with those gusty winds picking up, look at this. It's a brush fire from I-59 out in northwest Georgia, Dade County. This is where we have the worst of the drought conditions that are still ongoing. This brush fire actually has closed part of the interstate for a couple of miles. They're rerouting traffic around it. You can see some of the smoke sent in from Dade County Emergency Management to our all of our newsroom out there. So that is ongoing in northwest Georgia. Meanwhile, a little bit of sunshine looking south from the airport right now, and it's been a beautiful start to the day, but clouds have been starting to build in. So we're tracking this next chance of rain, and that is going to arrive here after midnight tonight. So area of low pressure right along the coast going to send some moisture in our direction. And meanwhile, just like we had over the weekend, that kind of nasty breeze coming in from the east-northeast, it's going to be with us tomorrow. This leaves us in the 50s, so it's going to be a gray, cloudy day. It's not raining the whole day nonstop, but it is going to be a nuisance for us. You can see that low working along the coast, some of the moisture working into our area, but we're not going to see it actually moving through our region. The track of that low, it'll transfer its energy across the coast of Florida out into the Atlantic. So for us, not everybody sees the same type of day tomorrow. We're all cloudy, we are all breezy, we are all cool tomorrow. But where we're going to see the most rain, that's going to be south of I-20. That's where we really feel like the rain chances are going to be highest. The rain totals will be highest, giving it a 70% chance, or in some cases even higher than that chance of rain. But a 50% chance in northern side of the metro, North Georgia, where they really need the rain, just about a 30% chance of some of these showers moving in. So they'll be here by the morning commute. Roads will be damp tomorrow, but it's not raining everywhere all day. You notice here a lot more green on the map south of I-20 than to the north, and some of those rain showers may not actually be full rain showers. It may just be drizzly at times for some of us during the day tomorrow. Thursday, a little lower coverage, but still, if you're south of I-20, few of those showers, hit and miss, still with us throughout the day on Thursday. So overnight tonight, rain showers moving in after midnight from the south. We'll drop down to the upper 40s and low 50s. Tomorrow, much cooler than today. We hit 69 this afternoon. Tomorrow, nearly 15 degrees cooler than that, going for a high of 55 with on and off showers. Here's your 7-day forecast. I've got temps over the weekend as rain showers clear out, staying in the 60s with a good deal of sunshine, especially for Sunday. So looking good for the weekend, but rain showers moving in tomorrow morning. Let's get a check on that red alert in Cobb County. What's going on, Crash?
Well, it's still red, Melissa. We're going to go right up top to the Sky Tracker. We're high above the scene. You can see they moved the tractor trailer that flipped over off to the right, 75 southbound at Windy Hill, but they've got a fuel spill to mop up and debris. Let's get to the maps because I want to get you around this one. It is bumper to bumper all the way back to 575. Cobb Parkway, I don't think I want to use that as an alternate. Powers Ferry is a great alternate, or even consider South Cobb Drive or Atlanta Road, because these delays, even if they reopen I-75, are going to be extensive for a long time. Jonathan?
All right, Crash, thanks. Videos of interviews, some from the co-defendants in the Georgia election interference case, have been leaked in their own words. Hear what they said about the case. Next on 11 Alive News at 4. Tonight, we have some big new developments surrounding the 2020 election interference case here in Georgia. Snippets of confidential interviews, first reported by ABC News and then obtained by the Washington Post, offering some bombshell new details from former Trump attorneys who pleaded guilty just last month. And just hours ago, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office filed a motion to stop the videos from being distributed. NBC's Garrett Hack has the latest.
New revelations in the 2020 election interference case.
His instinct was he had won.
Pardon my French, but I've been through this whole thing.
Through a series of taped interviews between prosecutors and defendants who've accepted plea deals, first reported by ABC News and published by the Washington Post.
He said to me in a kind of excited tone, well, we don't care and we're not going to leave.
In her session with Georgia prosecutors, Jenna Ellis, a former Trump legal advisor who pleaded guilty last month for her efforts to overturn the election, detailing to prosecutors an alleged conversation with top Trump aide Dan Scavino at a White House Christmas party.
He said the boss is not going to leave under any circumstances. We are just going to stay in power. And I said to him, well, it doesn't quite work that way, you realize. And he said, we don't care.
NBC News has reached out to an attorney for Scavino, but has not heard back. Meanwhile, in an interview that lasted nearly 3 hours, ex-Trump lawyer Sidney Powell positioning herself to prosecutors as one who frequently communicated with the former president.
On the 18th, the only real justification that he's giving you to why he's not bowing out is that his instincts tell him that he won.
That and the evidence that I'd showed him.
Powell testifying Trump had been repeatedly told he had lost the election, but relied on his instincts and allegedly leaned on her for advice, according to Powell, though she acknowledged she never practiced election law.
He never told you, like, this is crazy, stop giving me this information.
No.
In a statement, Trump's lead Georgia attorney slamming, quote, any purported private conversation as meaningless, writing in part, if this is the nonsense line of inquiry being pursued and this is the type of bogus, ridiculous evidence D.A. Willis intends to rely upon, it is one more reason that this political travesty of a case must be dismissed.
Coming up next on the news at 5 o'clock, colleagues and former students remember a Marietta teacher shot and killed in Atlanta this weekend, the lasting impact he's leaving on his school. That story is all new at 5.